Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to the daily cricket show, Cricket Happenings with your host Ram. Yes, as far as today's Cricket Happening show is concerned, yes, the Indian Premier League, an inconsequential match was being played today. The 50th match between Gujrat Lions and Delhi Daredevils. Both are out of the IPL, as we all know. But I can tell you one thing that not both the teams did not give an inch and fought to the finish. But in the end, it was the Delhi Daredevils that prevailed in this tight match as Delhi Daredevils won the match with Shreyas Iyer actually hitting his highest score in T20 cricket, which was previously 86 I suppose, but now he got 96 runs for his team of 57 balls with 15 fours and 2 sixes to take them to victory. So, but it was a very exciting match. It was Shreyas Iyer did, I thought, a great job because it was not easy. He had only Cummins for company, but he very nicely nurtured Cummins through and saw to it. Even though his wicket was lost, finally Delhi Daredevils managed to win the match, and the Delhi Daredevils were the victors in this particular match. And so that was a great, very wonderful innings, I would say, from Shreyas Iyer, really making everyone take notice of this wonderful innings that he played. So that is a match, but definitely, as I said, it was an inconsequential match. But I thought both the teams really breathed a lot of life into it, and that was the most exciting part of it. And as far as the other match was concerned, as I said, this was the Swan Song Test match for both Yunis Khan and Misbah ul Haq, but rain was something which kept on hitting proceedings, and with only 69 overs possible, Pakistan were placed at 169 for 2 on day one against the West Indies in the final test of the series at the Windsor Park Zoo in Dominica. I'll come back to that. So first, but let's send off to this 50th match, as I said, between Gujrat Lions and Delhi Daredevils. Now, talking about this particular match, which was played at the Green Park in Kanpur, the toss was actually won by Daredevils. Delhi Daredevils decided to insert the Gujrat Lions into bat first. The Gujrat Lions start was not a good one, with Dwayne Smith being run out with a very good throw, a combination of Mishra and Mohammad Shami. So Dwayne Smith was out for 8 of 8 balls with 1-4, 21 for 1 in the 4th over. Ishan Kishan really struck a few lusty blows to make 34 of 25 balls with 5 fours and 1 6, becoming a victim of Mishra. Shreyas Iyer was cheaply dismissed by Cummins, as Cummins actually rattled the timber of Shreyas Iyer for 6 of 5 balls with 1 4. After that, it was Karthik and Finch who had to really resurrect the innings, and they had to really work very hard. But what the good thing that they did is they really worked hard. They did not take much of risk, but what was good about it was they really worked hard at it, and that was something that was good, as the partnership put on 92 good runs because they definitely had to remove these Gujrat Lions out of a tight situation, and that's what they precisely did. It was Dinesh Karthik along with Aaron Finch. Aaron Finch, whenever he used to get any loose stuff, he used to really play the pull shot very well. He picked up a lot of runs through the pull shot. Karthik was also doing a very good job. He was also stroking the ball well, and this partnership was not only taking them out of trouble, but definitely going towards good heights, I would say, as this 92 runs partnership took them to a score of 148, and they were together till the 17th over. So they came at 56 for 3 in the 7th over, did all the hard work to take the score to 148 in the 17th over. And 17th over was the time when the wicket fell, and that wicket was of Dinesh Karthik, who was scalped by Anderson of the bowling of Brathwaite for 40 of 28 balls, 4 fours and 1 6. And after that, once Finch, after making 69 of 39, delivered 6 fours and 4 sixes, departed. It was left to Jadeja and Faulkner to take them towards the finish, as the Delhi Daredevils ended up with 195 for 5 20 overs. Jadeja was not out on 30 of 7 deliveries with 2 fours. And James Faulkner was not out on 14 of 8 balls with 1 4. So 195 for 5 of 20 overs. So definitely Gujrat Lions doing a good job of actually recovering from a very tight situation. And the bowling, Zahid Khan 4 overs none for 30, Mohammad Shami 4 overs 1 for 36, Cummins 4 overs 1 for 38, sorry dear fans, a bit under the weather. Amit Mishra 2 overs 1 for 27, Braithwaite 4 overs 1 for 38, and Addison 2 overs none for 19. Now talking about the Delhi Daredevils, the Delhi Daredevils started their innings, and again the Delhi Daredevils also could not get a good start. The start was not good, with Sanju Samson losing his stumps to the bowling of Pradeep Sangwan for 7 balls, 2 fours. After that, Rishabh Pant, now that was something silly of Rishabh Pant. I mean, he had hit a boundary, and Suresh Raina was so swift. He was immediately was able to really, judge that Rishabh Pant was out of the crease, and he threw down the stump. So he was got run out for 4, and this was Rishabh Pant actually punching the ball along with when he was there with Karun Nair. Now Karun Nair played a good knock. He made 30 runs of 15 deliveries with 5 fours and 1 6, and he was pretty aggressive too in that knock of 30 or 15 balls. But Rishabh Pant was run out very nicely by Raina for 4. That made it 72 for 3 when Karun Nair departed, and now Shreyas Iyer was joined in by Samuels, and definitely the Delhi Daredevils, they were not in a very good position at the time. But when Marlon Samuels won, what a throw from Ravindra Jadeja, tremendous fielding from Ravindra Jadeja, throwing the stumps out of Marlon Samuels with a direct hit, and that was another big. And not only that, in fact, Jadeja went on to have a hand on 2 big dismissals. One is Marlon Samuels run out for 1, Corey Anderson was run out for 6 of 6 balls, and that was really putting a real sort of a spanner into the works of Delhi Daredevils, and they were reduced to 104 for 5 in the 12th over, with only Shreyas Iyer, the most recognized batsman in the middle, staying there. And then Brathwaite walked in, but Shreyas Iyer was looking good. He was the one who actually carried the innings along for the Delhi Daredevils, but Brathwaite, after contributing 11 of 10 deliveries with 2 fours, departed. Cotton Bowl Kulkarni once again really putting a scare on the Delhi Daredevils, as they were 121 for 6. But the good thing was that Shreyas Iyer, the youngster, was really playing some very good strokes. He was driving well, and he was using the lofted shot to good effect. And what was good about Shreyas Iyer's innings today was that he was putting the ball, placing the ball into the gaps. And as you know, Shreyas Iyer is a very aggressive player, and that's what he showed. In fact, if you look at his innings, I'll come back to that. So then this was a time when Cummins walked in, and one thought that now Delhi Daredevils had only one thing, and that was Shreyas Iyer. That was their sole hope, and Shreyas Iyer did not let them down. What an innings from Shreyas Iyer. He took up the gauntlet, I would say, because he had only Patrick Cummins for company, but also one has to say that Patrick Cummins also gave admirable company to Shreyas Iyer. Everything started off in the, I reckon there was 3 overs where when Brathwaite departed, it was 121 for 6 in the 14th over, but from the 15th over, the fireworks started. It was done by Shreyas Iyer and Cummins in a gap of 3. The equation at that time, really, if one would have seen the equation, it was 37 runs, and Delhi Daredevils required 75 runs to win the match. And Shreyas Iyer definitely the hope, as he was doing very well. And it was just taking you through that as to really what happened. So this was a phase of play which really clinched it. And it was done by Shreyas Iyer and Patrick Cummins, who in a space of 3 overs totally transformed the game from 75 runs required of 37 deliveries. That was the time the fireworks started. Shreyas Iyer started playing some brilliant strokes. Patrick Cummins also was clubbing the ball very well, and suddenly runs were just cascading from the blade of Shreyas Iyer and also Patrick Cummins. And let's see what really happened. So, as I said, 52 runs were taken in 3 overs with the equation on 75. They had to really throw their bats, and that's what they precisely did. So, just having a look at what really happened. The fireworks actually started off in the 15th over. In the 15th over, Pradeep Sangwan was bowling to Iyer, and Iyer was really stroking the ball beautifully as he first took 2 fours of the first 2 balls, and then Cummins took over in the last 2 deliveries to hit 2 fours, and with that 15th over realizing 17 runs, and now the equation came to 58 runs required from 30 balls, and Dhaval Kulkarni was given the ball, and Iyer actually slammed him for 3 boundaries of 3 consecutive deliveries. What a wonderful batting from Shreyas Iyer, putting the ball into the gaps, and that was the really big feature of Shreyas Iyer's batting. And so that particular over, that is the 16th over, garnered 14 runs, with Delhi Daredevils requiring 44 runs from 24 balls, and this was another big over. And now it was till now they were dealing in boundaries, and the 17th over was a big one. It was from James Faulkner, and 21 runs came of that, courtesy 2 sixes. One was a huge 6. The first ball that Faulkner bowled in the 17th over was a big 6, a massive 6 by Patrick Cummins. And then Iyer took it on. The 4th delivery, Iyer actually came down the wicket and smited another massive 6. 2 massive 6s coming, one of the bat of Cummins and one of the bat of Shreyas Iyer. And to boot that, there was a 4-2. And the 17th over, 21 runs were taken. And the 15th over, 16th over, and the 17th over proved to be very productive, as 52 runs were belted of those overs. And that was the time the problem started. The 18th over, and then the equation came down to 23 runs required. So they had done a good job to get the equation to just 23 runs required from the last 18 deliveries. Basil Thampi was the bowler who actually bowled the 18th over. I thought he bowled that over very well, did not concede any single boundary or a 6, and 8 runs came off that over. Now the equation in the 19th over, that is 2 overs required, so 12 balls and 15 runs required. But Faulkner actually picked up the wicket of Cummins, who was out for 24 of 13 deliveries, 2 fours and 1 6. And I thought this was a better over from Faulkner. He gave away 6 runs. Mohammad Shami slamming him for a boundary of, getting a thick outside edge. But everything mattered, as you know. The bottom line was getting the runs. And now finally, the 9 runs were required from the final over. And as I said, Delhi Daredevils definitely knew that man, Shreyas Iyer, who had already got his highest score in T20 cricket, was in his 90s. And one was really waiting for Shreyas Iyer to really, end up the match with a century and, go with a lot of pride. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Basil Thampi bowled the second over. He picked a big wicket at that of Shreyas Iyer, a low full toss, which actually swung back. And in fact, Iyer in the process got an inside edge, and his middle stump went on a real swing there. So he was gone, but Shreyas Iyer had contributed greatly. He had got 96 runs of 57 balls with 15 fours and 2 sixes. He had basically set everything. So now the equation in the final over, just 9 runs from 6 balls. After 2 leg byes were taken on the first ball, it was now 7 runs required of the balance, 4 deliveries. And it was interesting. And Amit Mishra came in. Now this was smart batting from Amit Mishra. What Amit Mishra did is he knew that Basil Thampi is going to attempt the Yorker, and in fact he came down and actually flicked. He converted that into a full toss and actually played it past the mid wicket for a boundary. And then now the equation was 3 runs required, and Basil Thampi bowled to Mishra, and that's a beautiful shot. And what he did is actually, it was very smart work by Mishra, actually moved across his stumps and scooped the ball through the fine leg region for a boundary. What a finish. And Amit Mishra keeping his cool, getting 2 boundaries to clinch the win for the Delhi Daredevils after a great job which was done by Shreyas Iyer. What an innings from Shreyas Iyer. Marvelous innings. Really deserves kudos for that. He was the man of the match without any shadow of doubt. What an innings from Shreyas Iyer. Simply brilliant. Even though it was an inconsequential match, I thought Shreyas Iyer played a great knock. And just I have to say, this was a wonderful innings coming from this young bloke, Shreyas Iyer, showing his talent in full measure. 15 fours, and I'm also told this is the most number of fours which has been hit in this IPL 2017. 15 fours in a single innings with 2 sixes by Shreyas Iyer. So as far as the bowling, I'm not going to go into the bowling here. The bowling, well, I would say Dhaval Kulkarni 1 for 30. So I'm not going to go into those details, unfortunately, due to shortage of time, as I have to talk about another international match as well. So let's leave from here. So Delhi Daredevils winning this very exciting match thanks to Shreyas Iyer. And now the next match that I'm going to talk about is the international fixture. It was the day one of the final test match between Pakistan and West Indies. And it was Pakistan making a change in their team. In fact, Ahmed Shahzad was ill, Shan Masood came into the team, and also Shadab Khan, the leggy, was dropped, and Hassan Ali was given a test match debut. And I thought he rightly deserved it because he has been bowling very well of late, and I thought that was a good move of bringing Hassan Ali into the mix. And as far as the play was concerned, well, it was a good toss to win, I thought, for the West Indies, because it was really overcast conditions. It was raining over there, and then very good overcast conditions. It was a very right decision on the part of the West Indian captain Jason Holder to actually insert Pakistan into bat. And in fact, they got a quick breakthrough. Shan Masood, in fact, also one saw that only the skipper did not waste time. In fact, I thought Shannon Gabriel pulled a very good line. He bowled a very testing spell. As I said, the cloud was overcast, and it was really giving him good assistance, and Shannon Gabriel was moving the ball very well. Alzari Joseph was also bowling well. And then, but what Jason Holder did, he probably wanted to see whether there was any turn in the wicket, so he immediately brought in Roston Chase, the right arm offie, to bowl. And the right arm offie had Shan Masood not only tied up in knots, but he actually started beating him in a very consistent fashion, and finally nailed his wicket when Shan Masood was forced to nick to the slip cordon, where Holder gleefully took the catch, and that was the wicket number 1 for West Indies, as Shan Masood was out for 9. And then Azhar Ali and Babar Azam, there was a brief interruption for rain with only 2 overs bowled before tea, and Azhar Ali and Babar Azam really worked it out. They really worked well, and as I said, the run making was not easy, and the strokes were not easy to come by with some very tight bowling, and also with the conditions prevailing, it was not so easy. But the old ball slowly started becoming a bit more easy to handle, as Azhar Ali, the new ball was a bit tough for the Pakistan batsman, but then when the ball started becoming old, some strokes started coming up. Even Azhar Ali had the ability, went and hit 2 sixes as well. And Babar Azam, who failed in the second test match, was not having a very good test series here, really came up well, as both had 50s to their credit. Babar Azam was a victim of the bowling of Joseph. It was a good partnership. 120 runs added for the second wicket before Babar Azam fell. Caught Powell bowled Joseph for 55 with 3 boundaries. And Yunus Khan came in amidst a real guard of honor for his last test match, as the West Indian players stood there and started clapping for him as he walked in. That was a good gesture. And when finally stumps were done, Azhar Ali played a good knock. He actually chiseled together 85 runs with 7 fours and 2 sixes, and he was unbeaten at stumps on day 1. Yunus Khan was not out on 10 with no boundaries. 169 for 2, as only 69 overs were possible because of rain in this final test match at Windsor Park, Roseau in Dominica. And as far as the bowling was concerned, Shannon Gabriel, 19 overs 6 minutes, none for 32, bowled excellently, I thought, but unluckily or unfortunately could not get a wicket. Aljari Joseph 14-4, 39 runs and 1 wicket. Roston Chase bowled well as well, 10 overs 3 minutes, 1 for 27. And also I have to say, one could really discern a lot of turn on the first day itself, and that would be something that both the teams would be looking at, especially Pakistan with Yasir Shah in their ranks. And also let's remember that in this particular pitch, West Indies are the ones who would be batting last on this pitch. So West Indies would be quite wary of that, and one knows Yasir Shah, the leggy, could be a big threat if the ball is going to turn square. Jason Holder, 14 overs, 4 minutes, none for 30. And Devendra Bishu, 12 overs for 36 runs. Now that wraps up my cricket show. But before that, I would like to say one thing, that tomorrow one more match is going to happen. Kings 11 Punjab, who actually got their first win. I mean, as you know, they have to win 3 matches to now qualify for the playoffs. Tomorrow have another, they actually got a big scalp the other day of KKR. And now they are going to play another form team, which is Mumbai Indians, who are already into the playoffs. And tomorrow, that's the game which is going to happen between Kings 11 Punjab and Mumbai Indians. And Kings 11 Punjab has to get the same cricket that they got against the KKR to go and defeat Mumbai Indians in their quest for qualifying for the playoffs. But the job would still be only half done, because they have one more match which would be coming up and they have to win. So tomorrow's match is very crucial for the Kings 11 Punjab. Thanks for your company, and thanks for watching Cricket Happenings. It's your host Ram bidding good night from